So Superman continues to underwhelmingly dominate the box office while Fantastic Four struggles to keep up. Okay, so both films are underperforming on the international box office market. Now, Superman keeps pulling ahead in box office numbers while Fantastic Four just is starting to fall off. Now, as of Wednesday, Superman has passed $513 million worldwide. Fantastic Four is just under $250 million. Superman has maintained consistent interest apparently across weekdays, and Fantastic Four had a stronger start than expected, but quickly lost its footing. Now the numbers don't really lie. You don't lie at all. You see, the Superman continues moving up while Fantastic Four is actually starting to slip back. Now the early Prime Video screenings for the James Gunn film were brought up as a reason for its strong performance, but those fans were always going to show up during the opening weekend no matter what. Now, that audience didn't skew the results, but this film's shortfall can't be blamed on that. The numbers for the DCU film held on their own. Now, the fans went head to head, and James Gunn came out right ahead and stuff, but slightly. But at the 6 day mark, the Marvel film reached $150.9 million domestically. James Gunn's film had $166.8 million at the same point. The lead isn't massive, but it's clear. The DCU film actually kept pulled ahead and kept going. All right. Now the performance, which film has legs and one peaked early. The daily trends continue to point in Superman's favor. The MCU itself, the film itself, didn't really sustain the pace compared to other recent Marvel releases. First Steps is still outperforming, but it's ahead of Thunderbolts and Captain America: Brave New World. For context, Captain America 4 poured in $106 million after 6 days. Thunderbolts reached $91 million. The Marvels ended up with $53.5 million in its first 6 days. By those standards, this Marvel movie, Fantastic Four, is doing better, but the bar for success has already shifted. Now, James Gunn's film is holding midweek and stuff. It's shown strength in weekday performance and stuff, but it's also given, outpacing the Batman on weekdays, though it still trails that film on weekends. Now, this movie has recently passed the 300 million domestic mark. That's the milestone. That milestone reflects ongoing interest itself. International box office performance hasn't helped either film significantly. You see, Superman sits at $214.1 million internationally. That followed a $95 million international opening. Fantastic Four opened slightly stronger at $99 million internationally. However, there haven't been updates on its international numbers during the week. Now, that may suggest a stall in overseas momentum itself. Neither film is breaking out globally, all right? But current worldwide totals reflect the gap itself. And as of Wednesday, Fantastic Four: First Steps is at over $249 million globally. The James Gunn film sits at over $513 million after 20 days. The difference is substantial. These numbers are being watched closely. Now, they help gauge how each title is trending. For now, Superman maintains a clear lead in worldwide gross, okay? But that's not really saying much, but budget details are still uncertain. According to Comic-Con insiders, the actual production budgets are higher than reported. Now, if that's true, then the break-even numbers for both films are higher as well. You see, Superman and Fantastic Four may each require $600 million for more to reach profitability. That changes the stakes significantly, and Superman is closer to that line than Fantastic Four. Now, the opening weekend will be key for Fantastic Four. Second weekend drop-offs often reveal how well a film is actually connecting with audiences, okay? Now, the DCU film from James Gunn saw a second weekend drop of 53.2%, which is lower than expected. For Fantastic Four, estimates suggest a drop between 55% and 60%. That would point to a steeper decline. If that holds, it would confirm a loss of momentum. Now, the DCU film itself showed strong interest at the start, but it hasn't been able to hold it. The DCU's debut film second weekend numbers suggest that word of mouth may be helping. A film's liability to maintain audience interest through the week would often predicts long-term success. Now, this James Gunn film will be tested on that metric next, okay? But weekday holds more, have become more important as theaters shift strategy. You see, Superman's strength in that area is helping its overall total. Fantastic Four, despite its early promise, is not showing the same pattern. But as numbers come in, it's actually becoming harder to project long term gains for Marvel's latest. You see, Superman continues to draw steady attention day after day. All right. But to say the least, the international market is unpredictable, but its impact is still major. Marvel's latest film started strong overseas, but hasn't really gained additional ground. Well, the DCU's movie also faced international limitations, but it has continued to post steady numbers. Without international boosts, both films will depend on domestic legs. But so far, Superman appears more stable in that regard, okay? But I don't know. Marvel's recent track record adds more pressure to Fantastic Four's performance. Thunderbolts and Captain America Brave New World both struggled, as you all know. They flopped. The Marvels underperformed dramatically, super flopped, and Fantastic Four needed to show a turnaround. It hasn't. Superman still holds an underperforming profit, but it's still beating Fantastic Four. Now, this film still has time to climb. It may hit the $300 mark globally, but profitability remains out of reach unless international numbers see a jump. Now, Superman at over $500 million is in much better shape. If it holds the third weekend, the gap will actually grow farther. But at that point, the outlook for Fantastic Four becomes even more difficult. But then that's not surprising at all. Now, comparisons will continue as long as both films are in theaters. Now, the box office rankings shape public perception, and Superman's lead is now significant, and it's backed by consistent weekday holds. Now, Fantastic Four and their early lead was real, but it didn't last. But as updates come in, Superman's box office advantage continues to grow, and Fantastic Four is struggling to keep up. So let me know your thoughts about this in comments below. Be sure to smash the like button, share the video far wide across social media, subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell for future uploads, notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, peace.